School of Life. He is here talking about stuff and whatever's going on in his brain. You know it is 100% Bridget!
All right. Here I am. It's me talking about something. And today, I'm going to talk about something. I'm going to talk about the word driven and taking that word driven as the perspective of we're driven to do something, we're driven to go after something, we're driven to run after what somebody's done for us, we're driven to take care of family, we're driven to take care of the things in our lives, and we're driven to start businesses, we're driven to go after just stuff. And sometimes we just have to have an understanding of what being driven is. And I might feel a little bit more energetic than usual. I'm up early this morning, and I'm ready to go, and I've had plenty of coffee, and this is just, like I say, just me talking about something. So I have a definition of the word driven. Here it comes. Are you ready? Are you ready? All right. Having a compulsive or urgent quality, a driven sense of obligation. I'm going to take that definition. I'm going to do this with it. I'm going to go, okay, I got married at 19 years old. I had kids right out the gate and had no plan. So if you've been listening to my podcast, you're picking up on kind of where I came from and what I do. And so having no plan, and suddenly you have a family, you might be driven to make money. Come on, right? You're gonna have a compulsive or urgent ability or want to make money. Now, hopefully all dads are out there. A couple weeks ago was Father's Day. We're coming up on 4th of July. We had a bunch of driven people to start a country, right? Come on, they were driven. Here's the definition number 2. Propelled or motivated by something used in combination with results. So propelled or motivated by something. My family motivated me to go beyond what I thought my limits were. And that's just 100% reality. I looked at my kids, I looked at my wife, and I said, I got to make sure that these things stay alive. So, and that's really a reality. That drove me to make sure that I made enough money to put food, to put gas in cars, to pay rent and all the things that I had to do as a man, as a husband, as a father. And then later in life, as I grew in like Christianity, I became driven to actually, go to church, and I became driven to learn the Bible, and I became driven to do those kinds of things. It was actually a learned experience for me personally, because I didn't really have a lot of goals in life. So if you're not a driven person, you might have to become, I've been talking about mindsets a lot, and get that mindset to go after what you want. And I sit here in my office here and do this podcast and think, man, I'm on, this is my 14th episode. Woo, glory. And going, I don't know if I'm doing good or not, but I feel like I'm doing good, right? And now here's the definition of determination, because driven is connected to your determination. The act of deciding definitely and firmly the result of such an action of decision. So you have to make that decision that you're going to go after something. In my case, I had to make that decision. I had to actually make that decision to support my family. I had to actually make that decision to go after the goals that I chose to have in life. My wife is fantastic at this. She runs a business. She sells books through Usborne Books, and which we're working on her website and putting all that stuff together for her. And she sits down every day for 1 hour. She calls it the Power Hour, and she sits down every day for 1 hour in the office and just works on that. That's outside of school. So she went to school to become a teacher. She has a master's degree and a bachelor's degree, and she worked hard for that. And in the background, I did everything I could. I've had some good jobs. I've had some bad jobs. I've hustled. I've DJ'd. I've done all kinds of craziness to make sure we had what we needed to have, and to make sure my wife could get the schooling that she needed to get. And now I get to do this because I was driven, and my wife was driven to do the things that she wanted to do. And now it's put us in a place to do other great things. Come on. Yeah. And that's being driven. Now here's the other section of determination. Firm or fixed intention to achieve a desired end. Firm or fixed intention You have to be intentional about the thing that you're going to do, right? You have to be intentional. So I like using this podcast as an example because I've never done it before. It was a thought probably about 2 or 3 years ago. It was a thought. I thought, man, this would be cool to do. It fits what I'm good at, and I'm going to give it a shot. And finally, I just said, okay, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to put something together, and we made it happen. And now we're continuing to do it, and I believe it's going to actually become a great thing. And now I'm driven to continue to do it. Every single Friday, I get up in the morning, and I come in my office, and I set up my gear, and I get everything ready to go. And to me, it's just a fantastic thing, and I'm loving every minute of it. So let's see. Driven is a derivative. See, this is the notes part. I'm really good at off the cuff, but here comes the notes. Driven is a derivative of determination. When I have an urgent quality and motivated by something, I will make a definite and firm decision to make it happen or get it done. A definite or firm decision. When I have an urgent quality and I'm motivated by something. What are you motivated by? What drives you? What pushes you? What kind of results are you looking for, and how hard do you want to push after those results? What direction do you want to go? Where do you want to be? And this is one of the greatest things. Where do you want to be 5 years from now? You have to get driven and make a determined decision to get there. Personally, I want to get monetized for this. I didn't at first. I'm like, hey, this is just fun. This is cool. And now I'm like, man, I could see if I can get a couple dollars out of this. I'm not looking to get rich doing it, but if I could get monetized for it, hey, great. Thanks for watching, listening, donating. 100richard.com. You can donate there, And one day I'll get an advertiser, and you'll get really mad about halfway through when an ad kicks in, because you got used to just listening to it straight through. But if it's good stuff, you're going to listen to it, right? And I think that's the way that things work. We always hear things like, I'm driven for results, determined to make it happen. I'm going to go after it. But how do we actually activate that? We activate it by making that definite and firm decision. That's how we activate our drive. That's how we become driven. We have to activate that thing. Now, I'm gonna throw down some honesty. Are you ready for it? So, probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I had to close a church. I was pastoring a church, and 5.5 years, almost made it 6 years, and the finances weren't there to keep it running. And I'm not gonna make excuses. We had to close the thing down, and I really kind of just sat around going, what am I supposed to do with my life? I had issues. And probably for about the past 2 or 3 years, I've just been, man, I suck. I can't do anything. I'm no good. God doesn't want me, to be preaching His gospel. I had all these things that were just running through me, and I realized that, and out of that, I actually mentioned to somebody. I said, maybe I'll just start a podcast. This is like, say, 2 or 3 years ago, because my voice is there. I sound good. I think I do anyway. I think my messages are okay. A lot of people watched them and listened to them and came to church to hear it. So I was like, well, maybe I'll just put myself out there. And it took almost 2.5 years of making excuses. I don't have the right equipment. I don't have the money. I don't have this. I don't have that. And it wasn't until I made that definite and firm quality decision to go after what I believe I'm supposed to do, because I believe God called me to actually get the gospel out there and to help people and to talk to people. And well, there's so many different forms of being able to do that today. I'm like, why can't I do a podcast? And suddenly, out of the blue, people surrounded me and said, yeah, do a podcast, And so I'm like, wow, okay, I think I'm going to do a podcast. And here I am, sitting at my desk. Here I am, it's me, talking about something. Come on, somebody. And that's kind of how you have to do so. You have to make that quality decision. A determined, driven group of people will always succeed in the thing they are striving after. A determined person will always succeed. If you're determined to go after whatever it is that you're going after in life, if you're determined to make sure you have food on the table, let's just keep it simple. If you're determined to keep gas in your car, if you're determined to have a job, if you're determined to go after the things that you want to have, You have to make that decision to go after the things that you want to have. If you want to have $1 million house, well, you got to make $1 million. And actually, you have to make more than $1 million because there's a payment on that house, and then you would be broke as soon as you bought your house if you paid cash for it. So you have to have a determination to go up, forward, and beyond, actually, what you're going after. So, like, yeah, I could do this podcast for free. Thank you, all you people that have been helping me, and I could do it for free forever, and I would be happy. I'd be, like, so excited to just continue to do this. But if I could get monetized for it, why can't I go after that? Come on, somebody. Let's look at something in the Bible. So Joshua, in Joshua 1, Moses dies, Joshua takes over, and he's got to take the people to the promised land. See, Moses wasn't allowed to go to the promised land. You can go look this stuff up. That's up to you. You can go after that. I'm going to actually paraphrase a little bit today. And so Joshua has to, go over the Jordan, and he has to have a determination because he's taking over for somebody else. So he has to be able to go, hey, it's now my turn. Wow, God's like, it's your turn. You got to do it now. And I can almost just picture a little bit of Joshua going, don't really want to do that. But if you really think about it, he actually was in training the whole time because he followed Moses around everywhere. He was always behind him. He was always in close distance to him, and he had to drive, and his mindset was actually set up differently than everybody else's because they went and spied the land, and it was Joshua and Caleb that came back and said, we can take the land, and everybody else said, we can't take the land, so that he had a different mindset already to actually take over and drive to drive everybody across the Jordan and into the promised land. So he was driven to do it, and he took the practice, he took the time to train, he took the time to listen, he took the time to go over stuff, and then he had to go for it, right? God gave him instructions, He said, okay, you got to go put the tabernacle in the water, right? And then everybody will walk across on dry land. And and he's already seen a lot of miracles, so he's probably like, all right, let's do this, right? He was a driven person. He was already driven. He already had a mindset to be driven. Now, those of us that aren't naturally driven to go after something and do something, we have to actually sit back and go, wow, how do I do this? What do I do? And here's the thing. I've said this now almost 3 weeks in a row. Start. Whatever you're going to go after, start it. Poke the button. Hit the thing. Jump over the starting line. Do whatever you got to do to get going, and your heart will start to go after that thing. And if it's something that's really deep down inside of you, God's going to take you through it. And if you're a believer, God's going to take you through it. He's going to connect with you. He's going to and open doors for you. He's going to do stuff and push you forward. Because actually further down in this, it actually says something about being courageous, right? You got to be strong and courageous. So here's God saying, you have to be strong and courageous. You have to be courageous. You have to go after this thing. You're gonna be awesome. You got to go for it, right? And so God's telling Joshua this stuff. Come on, He's telling Joshua this stuff, and now He's going, okay, well, you still got to be courageous in the thing that you do, even if God's taking you through it. So you still have to have that determination and that drive to go for it. When it comes to things in life that we are not used to doing, it takes strength and courage. If we're not used to doing it, it's not something we've ever done before. It takes strength and it takes courage to step into that thing. It takes that strength and courage to go after it and do it anyway. One of the things that I remember when I played football, I had a forearm pad that said, courage is when you're afraid, but you do it anyway. When you're afraid, but you do it anyway. It's like right now, COVID-19's out there, and you can't be afraid to go outside. Put your dang mask on, go outside, do your grocery shopping, go after it. If you got something to do, go do it. You got to get excited about the thing that God wants you to do. And you have to get excited about the thing that you want to do. Because if you're not excited about it, you won't be driven to do it. Every celebrity at some point will say, I was driven. I was driven to do this. This is the thing that I wanted to do. And we're a bunch of people that just follow celebrities. So if your favorite celebrity could pull it off, who says you can't? And now let's put it this way. If God says you can do it, who says you can't? Really? Because God is bigger than everything. And if He says you can, you absolutely can. So I'm going to end with that. You can. Be determined. Have a drive. Be driven. Go after stuff. Figure out what it is that you want to go for and go for it 100%. I want to thank you for listening to 100% Richard and watching on YouTube. Which, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and if you're listening across all the platforms I'm on, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Just go ahead and follow me, and that'd be greatly appreciated. And thank you very much. And by the way, if you don't have a home church, generationschurch.tv. We are actually starting open services. You have to do a reservation to get in. So go to generationschurch.tv and reserve your seat. We have 2 services at 9 and 11, and we have a Spanish service. I believe it's at 1. I have to double check that, but I'm not going to come back to tell you. So go to generationschurch.tv and check that out. And if you do have a home church, go to church. And if you're going to listen to church and watch church online, make sure to get there, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, wherever church is at, and go there. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Right on, right on.